Okay guys, so I'm back with another video, and this time I'll be doing a book review. So the title of this book is From Child to Parent, The Uncomfortable Path to Becoming a Father. So this book was written by Marquise Walker, and I'm gonna read the back for you. It says, a story unravels between the covers of this book that often goes untold. The story of a journey a young man takes during the 9 months of expecting his first child. People say that men carry their baby differently. I can attest to that and affirm such an experience. Join me as I unfold the mental, physical, and spiritual journey I experienced as I carried my first child, searched deep inside for answers to questions my soul never before posed. So basically, I'm gonna just start off before I even get into the book. Let me just tell you a little story about my kind of dealings with my father. So basically, like many people know me know that like he's not present in my life. Uh, I mean, he pays child support. That's what some people think is present, but he's not present in my life. And my mom raised me with the help of my aunt and grandma and family and stuff like that. So she always made sure I had everything, never wanted for anything, and just like I lived my best life as a child. With just her doing everything and going out of her way and working hard just to show me, that if you work hard, you can, still have everything that you want and need, no matter the situation. So what I'm first do, just kind of gonna break this book down, kind of. So I got a couple of post-it notes right here in front of me. Just keep me on track. So what the first chapter in the beginning of the book talks about like, will I be a good father? And it's kind of like a question that everyone has, especially when they find out that their girlfriend, wife, or whoever is having a baby. They're kind of like, dang, like, am I really ready to bring a whole other child into the world? Like, because that's kind of a big responsibility. Most people don't think of it as a big responsibility, but like, it's a huge responsibility because now you have a whole nother person depending on you. So what I'm going to talk about now is okay. So what gender do you want? What gender do you want? So that's kind of funny because like most people always say like, oh, I want a boy before a girl so I can have the boy can protect his little sister, if I can't protect her and stuff like that. But me personally, like I want like a healthy baby. It doesn't matter the gender, which at the end of the day, that's what everybody wants. Marquise talks about how he thought about that he was gonna have a son and how they're gonna do all these type of things, and then when he found out he's having a girl, it was kind of like, dang, like, am I ready for this? And you just gotta kind of. He talked about how his mom and his Mimi raised him, and how they invested time and wisdom and love, and they just kind of poured all that into him. And I kind of got that same background from the women in my family. They kind of poured the same type of things into my life, and just did the thing. That's what they really did. They did the thing. But another topic in the book was how to teach your child racism, and he talked about how when a black man was seen with money, that all of a sudden he was a drug dealer, which still kind of is true because I have a good car. I have a Charger. It's new. And so when I get seen in that car, like I'm already like people already thinking like, dang, what did he do to get this car? Like he must sell drugs or his parents must pay for all of that or something like that. But in reality, I'm just a hardworking young man. I go to work, clock in, clock out. Like that's how I make my money and that's how I get the things that I want. So, like it's kind of like that stereotype. Like how do you teach your child how to be born into a world that really, if you want to say hates us, not hates us directly, but like, you know what I mean? Like, for example, there's a book called Black Men in Public Spaces. I read it in like high school, and it just talks about how we're perceived as far as like even walking past somebody's car and they automatically lock the doors, or when we're with the police, like how our parents have to teach us to keep our hands visible and stay still and not move. Even if they ask for license and registration, you have to make sure that you let them know, okay, I'm reaching for my license and registration. You can't just reach for it because you never know what type of cop you may run into, and you never know when he's gonna pull that trigger. um the next topic in the book goes to, are you ready? So like kind of like talks about like sacrifices. Like, are you really ready to make sacrifices? And that's a big thing, kind of, I feel like in my generation, is that people want to become parents and they have baby fever, but they're not ready to have sacrifices. Like, how do you have baby fever, but you're not married? Or how do you have baby fever, but you don't have a stable job or you don't have stable transportation? That's not, you know, like you have to think about those things when you bring a child into the world, because at the end of the day, yes, you have a support system, and yes, you have people that's going to be there for you, but at the end of the day, that's your child. So you have to be the one to initiate everything and make sure that they're taken care of, because at the end of the day, they're just going to look to you. So that's pretty much it. And then just the part in the book where he talks about they were locked out. It's kind of funny to me because they were locked outside and his wife, she's pregnant, obviously at the time. This is what this book is about. But she kind of like not blamed him, but she kind of just kind of took her frustrations out on him. And instead of him like taking them back out, he kind of just took an accountability, like maybe I should have done this different or maybe I should have done that different. And he just kind of like played it cool. And she had to pee at the same time they was locked out, but they had locked like the keys in, and they called for the people, but they were gonna be there. The locksmith were gonna be there at like, I think he said, what, an hour? And so it was kind of like, dang, like we had nothing to do to wait, and they couldn't drive the car because the keys were locked in the house. And so then he talks about how when the baby was actually born, sorry, this puppy is something terrible, y'all. But he actually talks about when the baby was born and how the baby was sick and was taken to the NICU, and how he really just felt helpless and he couldn't do anything. And in this book, oftentimes he mentions the religion and talks about how he trusts God and how he prays and how that it gets him through everything. So I think that it kind of just taught me some lessons that, like, even though like you feel like you have it under control, like you still have to trust God no matter the situation. Like you still have to trust him, because at the end of the day, he has the final say so. So nevertheless, the baby was fine after, you know, after a day or two in the NICU, and everything was taken care of. But it was just kind of scary because like they just had their baby and everybody's excited, everybody's there waiting for it, and then boom, like you get to hug your baby like maybe one time, and then they're rolling it down to the NICU where you have to look at the baby through a glass, you know, and you can come in, but majority of the time you have to look at the baby through a glass. And then he had this quote in the book. Let me take this sticky note off so I can read it. Well, not a quote. He actually said this. Anger calls my phone because I cannot understand why my childhood hero did not want me. And it's in the forgiveness chapter. I really like that forgiveness chapter a lot. Like, if I probably read it like twice, because you have to forgive people, like not even just in these circumstances, for example, but in my circumstances, like for me to understand like the reasons like why I may be angry for no reason, or why like I'm having a hard time processing something, or why I'm having a hard time just anything, like you have to learn how to forgive. And a lot of my issues, like my anger and all that, stemmed from me not having an active father in my life. So when you kind of attack those demons per se and deal with them and try to figure out another way to cope or another way to, you know, release your anger, and not even release your anger, but just turn your anger into something positive, like that comes a lot. Like you really have to forgive. Like you don't even have to tell him. Like I haven't told my dad that I forgive him, but just know that in your mind you forgave him. You hold no grudges. I hold no grudges. Love everybody. Wish him the best, but obviously like I'm 21 years old now, so like it's kind of late for him, like the little stuff, which, you know, if he wanted a relationship, I would still be open to that, but it's kind of late for the little stuff. So like, you know, I'm just kind of accepting whatever gets put out at this point. And that also goes along with this next one where it's talking about, also in the same forgiveness chapter, is that people just expect you to just get over it and kind of just forget about it and not really, you know, like nobody understands, if they are not in that position, how it feels. Because in a little boy's mind, it's like, dang, like, for example, like I'm in elementary school and everybody's like, oh, my dad does this, oh, my dad does this. The only thing I knew about my dad was that he drove big trucks. So it's kind of like you get to see these other experiences from other students and or other people your age, and you're kind of like, why don't I have that? Like, why didn't my dad want me, or why didn't my dad take the time out to do this with me? Like, you see pictures and stuff like that, and it's just really throughout like growing up, you see more and more about how some people's dads are really active in their lives, and then you see like what you missed out on, or whatever. But at the end of the day, you have to accept it. And like I said, in that forgiveness chapter, you have to forgive because that's going to be a bearing on you. And that possibly could get carried down to your kids if you don't correct it right away. And then at the end of the book, he kind of just talks about like what would he tell his daughter, and how would he tell her like she's a woman and she's black in America. So you really have to basically like what I got from it was basically you have to prove them wrong. Like that's the only way that like people are gonna hear you. That's the only way you're gonna matter. That's the only way your voice is gonna make a difference is if you prove them wrong. You can argue with people all day, you can debate with people all day, but if you don't have the action behind the argument, then you're just wasting your breath because you're not showing them anything different. So that's what I got from that. The book was really great. I plan to read it again, see if I get some more information from it. It was filled with like knowledge and just advice, kind of like I'm not becoming a dad anytime soon, but if you are becoming a dad anytime soon, I definitely recommend that you read this book because it's kind of like it's real and it has like all the moments in here, even when he shared moments when he got upset and when his wife got upset and when the family was doing this or the family was doing that and how things kind of affected their pregnancy. And then also like when he got a new house and all this type of stuff. So it's kind of just interesting to see like from the inside like what people actually go through when they're having a baby, because on the outside most of the time it just looks like, oh, they're happy they're having a baby, but just like anything that looks good on the outside ain't always perfect, which is normal. So like there's gonna be frustrations and stuff like that. And I feel like this book really explains and just gives you an inside look on like how it really is to become a father. And that's all that I have. So you can like, comment, subscribe, share. I'll be back posting weekly videos. I had to do some adjustments this summer. Had to get myself together, but here I am. So just comment, like, subscribe. I'll put his link, social media down there in case y'all want to get a copy of the book. I really recommend that y'all get it, even women get it, and kind of see like how your husband felt if when y'all had a baby, or if y'all plan to have a baby, or when y'all do decide to have a baby. Just kind of read the book and look at it, and then also the illustrations in here are dope. So I like the book. 10 out of 10 recommend.